Good day, everybody. It's Andrew here, and welcome back to my channel. We've got some big updates for seniors regarding the next stimulus package. Bernie Sanders continues to fight for bonus payments, specifically for seniors in this package. And he has a strong message for the American people that he will continue to fight for you and fight for seniors to increase Social Security benefits, increase SSI and SSDI, and even approve a bonus stimulus check in this next stimulus package. So let's discuss the details, but before we jump into it, do me a quick favor, hit like, hit subscribe, and share this channel with anyone who you think might find this helpful. This is a community for seniors, and my job here is to be a voice for you and be a voice for seniors to make sure President Biden keeps his promises to increase Social Security benefits, increase SSI and SSDI, and even approve a bonus stimulus check specifically for seniors and those who are disabled on SSI and SSDI in this next stimulus package. Now, Bernie Sanders has been fighting for months to get a specific stimulus check for seniors anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000. And he continues to fight for you to make sure President Biden keeps his promises and quite honestly just does the right thing. We've had seniors paying taxes their entire life. We have people on SSI and SSDI, people who are disabled, who deserve a quality of life with dignity. Now, as things develop, we have Congress currently on vacation, but they're going to be back on Monday, and Chuck Schumer has promised to bring the stimulus package to a vote. And of course, Bernie Sanders is fighting for that $1,000 stimulus check. As Joe Manchin continues to make things more difficult, we do still have Bernie Sanders who says, you know what? We're going to keep fighting for the package. We're going to keep fighting to make sure that Congress works for the American people and not just the billionaires and millionaire donors who control, quite honestly, both parties, right? At this point, it's been pretty obvious that both parties, Democrats and Republicans, are in large part controlled by billionaire donors. And in this video, Bernie Sanders has a message for you and for Congress that this needs to change. Bernie Sanders has always fought for the small person, right? The average Joe who never gets the better end of the deal, people who paid for Social Security taxes their entire life and now get a small benefit. I just wanted to share these clips from Bernie Sanders talking about the fact that he has always fought for the small person. Since the 1970s, since he's been in politics, he's had the same message. We have to increase taxes on the millionaires and billionaires. We have to stop serving the rich and make sure that Democrats and Republicans are doing the right thing for seniors, for people who are low income, and for the average person in this country, not just serving the billionaire donors, guys. And let me know in the comments if you agree. So it's really nice to see that Bernie Sanders is still fighting for the stimulus package. So in this video, we're going to play a message from Bernie Sanders discussing the fact that he will continue to fight for the package, continue to fight for bonus stimulus checks for seniors, as well as continue to fight to make sure that billionaires no longer run our governments. And these clips are going to be from literally last week and as far back as the 1980s, just to show you that Bernie Sanders has never changed his stance. He has always stuck up for the little person, always stuck up for seniors, always stuck up to increase taxes on the rich and lower prescription drug costs for seniors, increase Social Security payments, approve bonus payments for people on Social Security, SSI, and SSDI. So as we currently have Bernie Sanders continuing to fight to get these things done, let's take a look and not only see what Bernie Sanders just recently said, but what he said over the last 40 years, just showing the fact that his message has always been consistent. So let's take a look, guys. Stick around for these clips. It's really inspiring, quite honestly, to see Bernie Sanders fighting for 30, 40 years for seniors, fighting for those who are disabled, fighting for the small person who has always been marginalized in this country. So do me a favor, guys. Stick around for this message. It's really important that we take a look and see what Bernie Sanders has to say, as he is our strongest advocate for seniors and our strongest advocate for those who are disabled on SSI and SSDI. And again, we should have a lot of updates in the next couple of weeks as he continues to fight to get this bonus check approved in this next stimulus package. So with that said, folks, let's take a look, see what Bernie Sanders had to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video.
At a time when millions of seniors in Vermont, in West Virginia, all across this country, have teeth in their mouths that are rotting, when they can't afford hearing aids in order to communicate with their grandchildren, and when they can't afford a pair of glasses in order to read a newspaper, does Senator Manchin really believe that seniors are not entitled to digest their food and that they're not entitled to hear and see properly? Is that really too much to ask in the richest country on earth, that elderly people have teeth in their mouth and can see and can hear?
You know, Mr. Manchin says he's representing the people of West Virginia. Okay, why don't you do a poll? It's CNN, do a poll, and you ask the people of West Virginia whether or not they want to lower the cost of prescription drugs. You ask them whether they want to expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing, and eyeglasses. You ask them whether they want to continue the $300 payment to help working parents in these very difficult times bring up their kids with dignity. Ask them if they want to deal with climate change. On all of those issues, I suspect people of West Virginia, like every other state in this country, will say, yes, do the right thing for working families. And I challenge. You know, I told Manchin, by the way, I'll pay for the damn poll in West Virginia on those issues. See how the people of West Virginia feel.
And I think the reason that we win and continue to win is that increasingly people are frustrated and angry about a two-party system which is dominated by big money and which does not pay attention to the needs of working people or elderly people or poor people. And I think if you talk common sense to the people and you say the government is supposed to represent the needs of those people who today are not getting a fair shake, you know what? They'll vote for you. And the problem that we have nationally in this country is that the two-party system, dominated by big money, is not delivering for ordinary people, which is why people are giving up on the political process, why they're not voting, and why there is a great deal of anger and frustration.
In 1920, after years of struggle and against enormous opposition, we finally ratified the 19th Amendment guaranteeing women the right to vote. We became a more inclusive democracy. In 1965, under the leadership of Martin Luther King Jr. and other great heroes, the civil rights movement finally succeeded in outlawing racism at the ballot box, and LBJ signed the Voting Rights Act. We became a more inclusive democracy. 1 year after that, the Supreme Court ruled that the poll tax was unconstitutional, that people could not be denied the right to vote because they were low income. We became a more inclusive democracy. In 1971, young people throughout the country were saying, we're being drafted to go to Vietnam and get killed, but we're 18 and we don't have the right to vote. We passed a constitutional amendment. The voting age was lowered to 18. We became a more inclusive democracy. Mr. Chairman, the democratic foundations of our country and this movement toward a more inclusive democracy are now facing the most severe attacks, both economically and politically, that we have seen in the modern history of the United States. Tragically, and I say these words advisedly, we are well on our way to seeing our great country move toward an oligarchic form of government where virtually all economic and political power rests with a handful of very wealthy families. Citizens United is a part of that process, and that is a trend we must reverse. Economically, the United States today has by far the most unequal distribution of wealth and income of any major country on earth, and that inequality is worse today than it was in any time since the late 1920s. One family, the Walton family of Walmart fame, owns more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people. Bottom 60% own less than 2% of the wealth. Top 1% owns 40% of the wealth. Now, that is what is going on economically in this country. A handful of billionaires own a significant part of the wealth of America and have enormous control over our economy. What the Supreme Court did in Citizens United is say to these same billionaires, you own and control the economy, you own Wall Street, you own the coal companies, you own the oil companies. Now, for a very small percentage of your wealth, we're going to give you the opportunity to own the United States government. That is the essence of what Citizens United is all about, and that is why it must be overturned. Let us be clear. Why should we be surprised that one family worth $50 billion, is prepared to spend $400 million in this election to protect their interest. That is a small investment for them and a good investment. But it is not just the Koch brothers. Mr. Chairman, there are at least 23 billionaire families who have contributed a minimum of $250,000 each into the political process up to now during this campaign. And my guess is that number is really much greater because many of these contributions are made in secret. In other words, not content to own our economy, the 1% want to own our government as well.
And I'd also like to make some brief comments about what Senator Manchin said earlier today. First, let us be clear. Poll after poll, including polls in West Virginia, show that what we are trying to do in this reconciliation bill is enormously popular among the American people. But it's not just the American people who support what we're trying to do. 48 out of 50 members of the Senate Democratic Caucus support the bill, and 210 members, about 96% of the House Democratic Caucus, support the bill. And by the way, the President of the United States supports the bill. And while we're at it, let me tell you who is vigorously opposed to this legislation, and I think it's important that the American people understand that, because this is the corruption of American politics. The pharmaceutical industry is currently spending hundreds of millions of dollars on lobbying, on campaign contributions, on advertising to oppose this bill because they do not want to have us lower the outrageously high cost of prescription drugs in America. The health insurance industry is spending a huge amount of money because they do not want us to expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. The fossil fuel industry, the coal companies and the oil companies, are spending millions of dollars despite the fact that the scientists are virtually unanimous in telling us that we must end our dependence on fossil fuel and move to energy efficiency and sustainable energy if we are going to save this planet. And it goes without saying that the billionaire class and the large corporations are spending a fortune in opposition to this bill because they love the idea that some of the wealthiest people in this country and the largest corporations in a given year do not pay a nickel in federal income tax. And they're fighting to preserve that absurdity. In other words, we are taking on some of the most powerful special interests in this country who will end up spending huge amounts of money in order to prevent us from doing what we should be doing, protecting the needs of working families, the elderly, the children, the sick, and the poor, and protecting this planet for future generations. Now, Senator Manchin, as I understand it, talked about today about not wanting to see our country become an entitlement society. Well, I am not exactly sure what he means by that. Does that mean that we end the $300 direct payments for working class parents, which have cut childhood poverty in this country as a result of the American Rescue Plan in half? Is protecting working families and cutting childhood poverty an entitlement? Does Senator Manchin think we should once again have one of the highest levels of childhood poverty of any major country on earth? At a time when millions of seniors in Vermont, in West Virginia, all across this country, have teeth in their mouths that are rotting, when they can't afford hearing aids in order to communicate with their grandchildren, and when they can't afford a pair of glasses in order to read a newspaper, does Senator Manchin really believe that seniors are not entitled to digest their food and that they're not entitled to hear and see properly? Is that really too much to ask
in the richest country on earth that elderly people have teeth in their mouth and can see and can hear. The senator man should not believe that we have to end the absurdity of the United States paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, sometimes 10 times more for a particular drug than is paid in Canada or other countries around the world. The senator man should believe that we should be the only major country on earth not to guarantee paid family and medical leave, and that working mothers should not be able to stay home with a child who is sick. Our workers not entitled to be able to do that. The senator man should believe that working class parents in West Virginia and Vermont should not have to pay, does he believe that they should have to pay 25 or 30% of their incomes on child care all over this country? Working class families are paying 25 or 30% of their incomes on child care so that they could go out and do their jobs. Are the children of this country not entitled to high quality child care and pre-K education? The senator man should not believe that working families in this country are entitled to affordable housing, and that we should not have some 600,000 people in America, including many veterans, sleeping out on the streets. The senator man should not believe that at a time when we have a major labor shortage in many parts of this country, because our young people lack the skills they need, that they are not entitled to at least 2 years of free community college so they can get the training in order to go out and get the good paying jobs that are there. And perhaps most importantly, the senator man should not believe what the scientists are telling us, that we face an existential threat regarding climate change, and that it is absolutely imperative that we move boldly to cut carbon emissions.